Biden came back out today talking COVID. It's booster shot season. So you can get on so it's a subscription plan here. So you can just keep those things coming. It's not Amazon Prime yet, but we'll get there. The U.S. is going to begin wide distribution of booster shots next month, saying that the vaccine protection actually wanes over time. This was posted on August 18th here by Berkeley Loveless Jr. over at CNBC, says the U.S. is going to begin distributing these shots. They announced this on Wednesday. They say it's now, quote, very clear that immunity starts to fall after the initial 2 doses. And when the dominance of the Delta variant, they're saying we're starting to see more reduced protection against mild and moderate disease. That came over from CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky, who now runs the country. She's the acting FDA commissioner also acting FDA commissioner, joined in on the conference. As a result, U.S. agencies are going to offer those booster shots starting September 20th, 8 months after their second dose. And so, a lot of activity there. Joe Biden came out, gave I think a 15-minute speech, which was the second speech that he gave this week with no answers, no questions or answers. So booster shots are in full effect. Thank you, Joe. We also have now new mandates coming out that's going to require the nursing homes, if they haven't gotten the booster shots or any of the prior shots, got to go get them. Now, if you're a nursing home employee, you're going to see the federal government, that's a federal government, come into many local state facilities and mandate you have to do what we say. Otherwise, you don't get any money. Oh, it's the power of the purse. We're going to learn about that. The Biden administration is set to require nursing homes to get their staff vaccinated or lose federal funds. They're going to direct all nursing homes, require all staff to be vaccinated. Otherwise, no Medicare money, no Medicaid funding. The officials told CNN. President Joe Biden announced Wednesday he's going to do this, make vaccination a condition for nursing homes to participate in Medicare. The move represents a significant escalation in Biden's campaign to get Americans vaccinated, and the tools he is willing to use, marking the first time he has threatened to withhold federal funds in order to get people vaccinated. And we've said this for some time. The federal government, because we have a system of federalism where we've got federal executive authority, and then we have states that have their own executive authority, and we've got the distinction between the two. The feds can't come in and mandate that states do certain things, but they do it differently. They do it very conveniently using the power of the purse, which we're going to talk about on the next slide. You do what we say, otherwise you don't get any money. Now, why is that problematic? It's because as a state citizen, you got to pay your taxes still. So you pay into that coffer and they just keep it. They don't give any of it back to you. So the states, anytime that the federal government dangles the credit card around, they just come like little sheep, to the trough to gobble it up. And why shouldn't they? Because they paid for it in the first place. So that's how they're going to force all of these private employees to get vaccinated, using the power of the purse, or lose your job. Now, I've been saying this for a long time, that we're watching a cascade of dominoes rolling around this country. We're seeing it in New York City. That started there with the key to NYC, the Vax Pass. They pick that up, send that over to San Francisco. They're mandating it now. Private employees, private businesses have to comply with their regulations. Now, the federal government is getting in on the game. We knew it was coming. The dominoes just keep rolling down the pike. Now, this one's very curious because according to this article from CNN, about 40% of workers there are not vaccinated yet. So 1.3 million people are working in nursing homes. More than 15,000 nursing homes participate in Medicaid and Medicare, and 40% of those people aren't vaccinated. They've had months to get it. They know how important it is. They know that they work in nursing homes. They know, their employers know, the nursing home attendees know. The residents know. Everybody knows vaccines available. Policies all over the place. Dr. Anthony Fauci has been reaching through your camera for the last 18 months, smashing your head about COVID all day. As soon as the vaccine came out, he just changed the channel. Get the vaccine. Joe Biden's doing it. Rochelle Walensky's doing it. They're all smashing our heads into the vaccine. They've all become vaccine salesmen everywhere you look. Everybody is. They all know about it. 40% of them, not going to take it. They don't want it. Maybe they've got a good reason. And maybe if the federal government mandates it, they just say, we're going to work somewhere else. We don't need to be here. We're going to go elsewhere. We're not going to work here anymore. Then what happens to all of the nursing home residents? All of the people who need help now have 40% less staff. Or let's say even 10% of them leave. That is a catastrophe. there are going to be unintended consequences from all of this, which might be the point. Okay, how are they getting this through legality-wise? How does this work? Well, they use the power of the purse. This is how they're going to cram this down all of our throats. This is how the federal government is going to cram this down your throat and my throat using this technique right here. It's called the power of the purse. The ability to manipulate and control actions of another group by withholding funding or putting stipulations on the use of the funds. We're not going to give you the money, or if we do, you have to use it this way. It can be used positively by giving extra funding, or negatively by removing funding for something that basically eliminates the organization. The power of the purse is most often utilized with a government that does not have executive power, but does control budgets and taxes, which is exactly how our system is set up. Here in the United States, it's been used to compel states to pass laws in cases where Congress does not have the desire or the constitutional power to make it a federal matter. The most well-known example of this is the drinking age. Congress passed a law, said we're going to withhold 10% of federal funds for your highways if you don't raise the drinking age to 21. U.S. Supreme Court said, yeah, no problem at all. Congress, they couldn't change the drinking age themselves because the 21st Amendment gave control of that to the states. In 2009, they considered the same thing using texting while driving. So they can do that. They're doing that right now with Medicaid. Tell your employers, your employees to go get vaccinated. Otherwise, no Medicaid money. And that's a lot of money for these places. So now you either get vaccinated or find new employment because the federal government is reaching its disgusting hands into everybody's business. Now, here is Joe Biden mumbling like his mouth is full of marbles, trying to sloppy his way through this speech. Here he is talking about feds authorizing the federal government now to come into your local schools. You'll notice that many different states like Florida and Arizona are out there saying, hey, lunatic federal government, we don't want to follow your guidelines. We have our own data, our own scientists, we have our own local communities. We know how we want to run our business. We know how we want to run our schools, which are not in Washington, D.C., surrounded by all of your incompetence. They're local. We know what we want to do. And so our local communities have decided that they're going to pursue things a certain way. And governors have made decisions to enforce the will of the people in many different areas. And now the federal government that knows better is going to come in here and tell you how to live your life and run your school and how your school, your local school, should run things according to their guidelines that were created by some bureaucrat many, many thousands of miles away in some cases. Here is Joe Biden trying to do his best. Second time this week.
Last week, I called school superintendents in Florida and Arizona to thank them for doing the right thing and requiring masks in their schools. One of them said, we teach science, so we follow the science. The other said, they have a guiding principle, students first. I just couldn't agree more with what they both said. And that's why today I'm directing the Secretary of Education, an educator himself, to take additional steps to protect our children.
Yeah, what?
This includes using all of his oversight authorities and legal action, if appropriate, against governors who are trying to block and intimidate local school officials and educators. And as I said before, if you aren't going to fight COVID-19, at least get out of the way of everyone else who's trying.
All right. He's going to fall over any minute now. It's really, really, really sad. Stumbling all over himself. What a joke. Okay, so he's out there now saying, oh, the Department of Education. If you're already upset a little bit that they're going to be using the power of the purse to mandate that certain nursing home employees go get a jab that 40% of them don't want to get, that might be problematic, but maybe you let that slide. It's a nursing home, you say. Maybe you're concerned a little bit about the federal government seizing property from people, saying that's our house now because you can't have any control of it. The people who are in your residence not paying rent, you can't kick them out. It's our house. It's not your house anymore. If you're concerned about that, well, you might say, well, it's COVID a little bit, and so maybe it's a couple more months. Maybe they'll survive. Now, though, you've got kids and you're saying, well, I'm tired of little Johnny sitting in classroom for 6 hours a day wearing a mask over his face. I have some problems about this. We know what's going on in our local communities. We want to go out and make sure that Johnny, who's already been robbed of a year of school, who's already been having to strap stuff around his face, can't, go out and play recess, can't go play on the jungle gyms. His whole year of his life has been stripped away from him, but we're going to rectify it this year. We're going to solve these things locally in our communities. Joe Biden comes out and says, no, you're not. Oh, the hell, you're not. No, first of all, if you do anything with funds, if you start moving those funds around, if DeSantis moves funds or Ducey moves funds, the federal government is going to come back in with the power of the purse, and we're going to refund them. We're going to give the people who are violating local state law money so they can just continue to break the law of elected state officials. The federal government is encouraging state schools to break the laws of state governments. It's outright lawlessness. And then he comes back out, which he's used to that because he's just violating whatever the Supreme Court says about the CDC eviction moratorium as well. So in addition to that, now he's saying we have to mask the kids up. And he is warning the governors and warning the schools that the Department of Education will use their lawful authorities to come and investigate you and come theoretically prosecute you. Use whatever latitude he has, he says. So he's empowering yet another department here. Just like the CDC took over property rights, the Department of Education is going to take over your schooling rights. And they're going to come down and just start slowly using this power of the purse, just like they're doing with the nursing homes. You'll see it in the schools. You'll see it in the hospitals. You'll see it everywhere until they get their way. And you've got to continue to pay your taxes as they continue to tighten the grips, as the institutions around us fail. Pay your taxes, comply with the rules. The government's just going to gobble it all up. So that was Sleepy Joe Biden out there stumbling through that speech. Now, look, on Monday, he was very busy. There was a lot of activity. He came out. He gave us an 18-minute speech. He's got a little bit tired as the week went on. And so on Monday, he didn't stick around to give us any answers to any questions. No questions. Remember, he slammed his book and just walked out of the room like faster than you would evacuate from Kabul. Now he is back here. He just gave us 15 minutes here on COVID. It's now Wednesday. So we're all saying, okay, look, Afghanistan has calmed down a little bit. We've got earthquakes in Haiti. We've got now COVID resurgence all over the country. Joe, strong leader. You've been around here for 40 years. You know how this works. You're the only adult that America has. We know that the last administration was a bunch of children. They were, well, it's looking like they were a lot more competent than you now. But anyway, forget about them. Guide us through this, Joe. Stick around for questions. Joe, we have a question.
God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you.
Buy America turns the back and makes a beeline right for the door. And if that looked familiar to you, if that sounded like, oh, yeah, Rob, is that the same clip you played earlier? No, it's not the same clip. It's a different clip. This is the other clip from Afghanistan. This was on Monday. Here he is.
And all brave Americans serving in harm's way.
Sorry, no questions, no answers. Gotta go. It's nap time. It's Jello time for Joe. All right, and so that's what's going on in America. Quick check-in what's going on in Australia. Saw this article earlier. Unprecedented police operation. So if you're concerned about where this is going, I'm not sure we're going to get to this level. But maybe this is where we're going. We've got unprecedented police operation. Posted here August 16th says that the New South Wales Police, they've issued nearly 600 infringement notices or fines, 579 infringement notices. They had 452 new COVID cases. And so the police are just going around. You can see these two knuckleheads here on horses that are clearly social distance away from everybody. They're out there on beaches, just patrolling everybody. They've got their face masks on. So these are mounted police, part of the public health order compliance operation. So that's nice. Let's see here. They conducted 3,800 welfare checks to see if residents were following stay-at-home orders. So when I think of a welfare check, I think that means that they're actually going to people's houses, knocking on your door, just making sure you're home there. Good. I'm glad you're here. Don't you think about leaving. In Australia, Afghanistan might be more free. I don't know. You might be able to actually, leave. I don't know. On COVID, one COVID positive man breached the health order. He was unable to provide a reason for vacating his home. So they go around there knocking on everybody's door. One guy just leaves. Sir, why did you leave your house? Well, I don't know, because I'm a human being and I like to go do things with my life, not be locked up like a caged animal in a government-imposed prison. That's why I left. Well, you can't do that. That's illegal. Go back home. All right. That's Australia. Here we've got the police. This guy, probably could lose a couple pounds. Might be better for COVID. COVID is not good if you're carrying some extra pounds. So he could probably lose that. I'd probably lose the mask, lose some weight, and be much better off. But whatever. Police conduct a public health order. So he's going around conducting public health compliance checks in Sydney, Australia. That's that guy. Now, these violations, $1,000, $5,000 for breaches of self-isolation rules. Perceived loopholes have been closed, including removing the phrase of recreation. So you can't get outside for that essential reason anymore. So they've got, and listen, Operation Stay at Home is now in effect. It started August 16th. 1,400 additional highway patrol officers, 800 Australian Defence Force troops, 500 soldiers are dispatched, 300 already deployed. So it's probably see something like that, right? The National Guard might be instituted or something. Wouldn't surprise me for a minute. Let's take a look at some questions here over from watchingthewatchers.locals.com and see what we've got here coming in. Let me cue some of these up because we jumped ahead just a little bit. All right, we're almost there. Couple more. There it is. Here's our first question. It's from Pfizer. Pfizer joined in. Pfizer says everyone should get the booster shots and have vaccine passports. Totally not a grift. Yeah, just get them. It's like a subscription model. You just press the easy button and boom, new shots arrive at your doorstep. We looked at Moderna yesterday. Remember that on the show? Went through the different quarters from Moderna. They went from $157 million in revenue in September 2020 to $4.5 billion in June 2021, I think. Pretty good. Nice business model if you can get it. Sergeant Bob is here, says Sleepy Joe tries the shiny red ball. Sorry, the shiny gold ball in the Mideast will outshine. Yeah. So I totally agree with you, Sergeant Bob. It's like, oh, man, Afghanistan is awful. So let me go out and do something else that's kind of awful, but not as bad, that a lot of people on my side really like. So I'm going to go mandate something for the nursing homes. I'm going to go talk about booster shots so that everybody goes, okay, but not so fast there, Joe. We know what you're doing. We can see it. We have Robert. Apparently I submitted this comment. So, this is fake. I didn't say this. I love the way Joe Biden is doing. Best president ever. These COVID restrictions are remarkable, and I think they should be even stricter. I look forward to supporting Kamala in 2024. Robert Gruler, ESQ. Folks, I didn't say that. I never submitted that form. That is identity theft right there. That's a crime. The DOJ should look into that. Oh, but they're incompetent. They'll never find you. You're good. Yeah, whatever you need. You're good to go. The Enticus Prime says, I can't wait until everyone's required to get 3 shots a day. Yeah, your morning shot, your night shot. Anyway, by the way, remember how we were told the virus mutates faster than any other virus and how long it takes to come up with a treatment for each strain? Are we supposed to believe treatments are easily and quickly developed like in sci-fi shows and movies? Maybe we should have done the smart thing from the start and thrown Wolverine into the vat so the cure for the apocalypse's contagion was already available. Yeah, speaking of that, where is Wolverine when you need him? He could be useful. Drop him in Kabul, see if he can take care of some business over there. But yeah, right. And you also have studies that need to be done, don't you? So if look, I'm not a medical doctor. This is not medical information. But if I'm talking hypothetically here, you would say, okay, if the vaccines wane around 8 months in, you'd have to do a study, wouldn't you? And give all of the people with the waning antibodies who got the first vaccines back in January. Now that we're 8 months in, it's waning out. You say, okay, perfect. Now it's time to do a trial with those people. And we're going to give a bunch of them shots. And we're going to see if it does anything. And then we're going to test it several months after the 8 months. And then come to a conclusion about their efficacy because there's been studies and it's been peer reviewed. And we've got a lot of data about it. But we just expired on the 8 months from the first time, and they're saying that it's ready without having done those follow-up studies. So I'm not a scientist, but maybe I'm too unsophisticated. I forgot. I didn't go to Oxford. I forgot. That's why I don't understand this. That's my bad. Over next, we got Soul Viking says, so not only coercion on a personal level, but Now increased federal coercion with mandates tied to funding. The concept of autonomy is a human right that cannot be forgotten. It's disgusting. We're going to have to fight for it, I think, on this one, peacefully, politically, but it is slowly eroding away. The government is picking up speed here. LT13 says, nursing homes are petri dishes. I'm sure most had COVID before the vaccines even came out. Funny, vaccinated people are having breakthroughs, but you know darn well we would hear about someone who had COVID getting reinfected. Haven't heard anyone shouting that from the rooftop. Right, yeah, you're nuts, right? All of those are... Joe Biden came out today and said that this was a pandemic of the unvaccinated. That is an out and out lie. That's not true at all, because a lot of people are still catching COVID. That's why they have to do booster shots. He's just full of it, isn't he? All right, let's see what else over here. We've got a few more on this segment before we jump in. Paula MK says, in my experience in healthcare, I think that withholding Medicare and Medicaid funding will blow up in the government's face. Most places hate the ridiculous regulatory requirements that come along with that funding. This might be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Provides an excuse to not accept Medicare or Medicaid patients anymore. That's from Paula MK. A lot of doctors are just leaving. They're not going to do the big medicine anymore. They're not doing insurance. They're doing private pay. And they have subscription models where you pay a fee once per month. You cut out the insurance companies and you just cut them all out. And so if that happens, there's going to be some serious repercussions for that throughout the entire country. Okay, we got a couple more. Let's see some of the super chats that came in. Couple of them. Eddie, no, we already got those. Let's see. For some reason, my mouse is not working on the scroll button, so I can't see what the super chats are. Give me 1 second. Okay, so that's not working. Hang on. Okay, super chats over here. Ben Dover, super chatted. Beth Coddington, already got that one, I think. Look 2G says, how did our world become so authoritarian so quickly? I was raised with our greatest generation who saw how bad the authoritarian systems work, yet here we are only 3 generations later. I know it's a sad thing. That was from Look to G. The country is snowballing faster than even I would have anticipated. We have, thank you for that, Look 2G. Bama Lickett says, we Americans should stand up with this ridiculous COVID-related mandates. Biden administration is the Taliban of America, terrorizing and intimidating its citizens. It's a good comment. Sharon says, they follow the science. These are the same genetic science deniers who say that gender and sex organs are mental constructs. And we've got one more from Sergeant Bob says, the Civil War was fought over states' rights. History is a great teacher. Lessons learned, but for the stupidity of so-called students. And we'll take a couple more because I can fly through the last segment. Watcher 45 says, just became a member. Welcome. Says, so if Biden is going to penalize nursing homes that accept federal aid, do you think people on welfare and food assistance programs will be targeted next? Or too much of a political risk? So it's a great question. Now, arguably, you could say that in New York City, no, because they're not on welfare or food assistance. I'm not sure that the courts would go for that, but I don't know. I would say no, but I would have said that the CDC would have never taken your property a year ago or done what they've done. I would have said no, but I never would have thought that any of this stuff would have happened. Here we are. So I can't say no is the problem, which is very scary. All right, we've got Ghost Gunner says, how is Biden allowed to just leave? Trump would have been crucified if he just up and left. Half of me wants them to invoke the 25th and remove the senile old man. The other half thinks Kamala would be even worse, like a lot worse. Yeah, the whole administration is just a dumpster fire at this point. Paula says, the school mandate thing gets me heated. DeSantis never said that masks are forbidden. If the parents want to wear a mask, they can do it. When did freedom become a crime? I used to think you were over-exaggerating on your view that everything is criminalized, but now I'm going to say something you rarely hear from a woman. I was wrong. Whoa! Mark it down. One of the many reasons I love your show. It forces me to re-examine my beliefs. Thank you for all you do, Rob. Keep it up. Thank you, Paula. I'm just kidding with you. First of all, look, I'm with you actually, right? I was in that boat as well. I was sort of saying that these COVID crimes were going to come down, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad. Like they're talking about FBI 5 years for fake vaccination cards and things like that. It's going bananas. So, I think we're in the same boat there. Thank you for the comment, Paula. Sergeant Bob says the great Aussies that fought in World War II would turn over in their graves. Right. You would imagine. Tremendous says probably not going to be a popular comment. I like a lot of what DeSantis and Florida have done, but passing a law saying that school districts can't make their own decisions about masks bothers me. Even though I don't want the kids in the masks in schools, I see similarities between that and law and my Governor Wolf making mandates forcing lockdowns. If I don't like it when Wolf forces it, I shouldn't like it when DeSantis and Florida do it either. I do get there is a difference because Wolf acted completely on his own, while DeSantis simply signed a law that came from the legislature, but it still makes me feel icky. Yeah, I understand your point there, Tremendous, and I also share that, right? There are concerns about using the heavy hand of the government from both directions. We saw this sort of with the CRT stuff, right? A lot of people, CRT is clearly a public issue. It's something that local legislatures should talk about, but when many of the conservative organizations in this country said that we're going to do it by executive order or by legislative mandate, I just said, okay, well, if you're going to make a blanket rule for the entire state, then you're going to have states that make a blanket rule the opposite way, won't you? And so, it goes both ways. So before you use the power, the heavy hand of the government, be very careful with it, which is why I think that most of these issues should be dealt with locally. So I don't think your comment is unpopular at all. I think it's actually very astute and appropriate. We have another one says, I'm glad I live in Texas where our Governor Abbott stands up with the Biden's administration, yet we are resilient and ever vigilant. That's from Texas. And the last one here says, the Enticus Prime says, just another day, 15 days, just another 15 days to flatten your spirits. Yeah, I know. It's probably going to be another short 15 days. Just make the sacrifice, Vienticus. You don't want to kill grandma, do you? Thanks so much for watching. Before you head out, I want to just remind you that I am a criminal defense lawyer here in Scottsdale, Arizona, where my team and we've got a long history of helping good people facing criminal charges to find safety, clarity, and hope in their cases and beyond that in their lives. Our phone number for a free case evaluation is 480-787-0394. You can also find us online at www.rrlawaz.com. We can help with any type of criminal charge in the state of Arizona, things like DUI, drug offenses, misdemeanor offenses. And we can also help with clearing up old case records, like expunging cases or making sure that you can restore your rights so that you can vote again or possess a firearm again or apply for some other federal benefits. We can remove mugshots off the internet. Basically, anytime that you or somebody you know or love is in trouble with the law in the state of Arizona, we have an amazing team of people. We would just love the opportunity to help. And our phone number, of course, 480-787-0394. And if you don't need any legal services, that's a very good thing, but you may be interested in some informational offerings so that you are prepared if you do have to deal with the police. And of course, I want to invite you to head on over to gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. You'll notice here, I've got several different trainings that are available, including the law enforcement interaction training. This is the 1, 2, 3 rule for dealing with the police. It's one rule you need, 2 questions that the police can ask of you, and 3 responses if they ask you a problematic question. So that's available now. You can also get a load at my personal productivity system here called Existence Systems. Fun little course. And then we have here, if you're a lawyer or a legal professional, be sure to check out this program. We are meeting twice every month. Again, all of this over at gumroad.com/Robert Gruler. And if none of that sounds any good to you, well, just go ahead and give us a follow, because I'm working on some other products and some other offerings. And of course, if you have not already done so, want to invite you one more time to head on over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. It's where you can support the show, and it's where we can connect. We've got monthly Zoom meetings and a lot of other goodies coming up. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for watching, and for all of your love and support. I will see you on the next one.